Now things are starting to get good. Gavin Gear here from ultimatereloader.com. I'm talking about my 300 PRC full custom rifle build and my first load workup, which I'm going to talk about in this video. This is a part of a larger series. This full custom rifle build, I've also got a Remington 700 long range, 300 Remington Ultra Mag to 300 PRC upgrade and kind of customization project. And then there's going to be a 6.5 PRC lightweight backpacker, carbon fiber stock, carbon wrap barrel, titanium action, and really oriented towards a high powered, long range, lightweight hunting platform. Okay, so this is exciting. In the last video, I talked about installing the optics. I've got the worn bipod and breaking in the barrel. That went well. I got about a 0.72 inch group from Hornady's factory ammunition, which is really good. And then I hinted at a 0.62 inch group that I got with some of my first reloads, and that was with this load, and things get even better from there. Let me talk about the components that I'm using real quick. I'm using Hornady's 225 ELD-M bullet. I started with that because it's a good weight for 300 PRC, and that's the Hornady match ammo that I've got to compare with. So I thought that would be really interesting to see where velocities are going to land, see where accuracy is going to land, that kind of thing. I'm using Federal 215 large rifle Magnum primers. I'm using brand new Hornady 300 PRC brass. This is interesting. In my testing, I had groups where I actually got slightly better results, this 0.62 inch group right here, with new brass compared to, this is about a 0.8 or 0.9 inch group with 1X reloads, full length sized. I'm not totally sure why. It could have to do with me, the shooter, and the support system that I'm using, which I'm revamping, by the way. I'm going to go to more of a full bench rest style setup here. More on that later. But I thought it would be good to take brand new 300 PRC cases and fire form them. So I have a whole bunch fired in this chamber. When I chamber the other rifle, I'm going to chamber the headspace exactly the same so that the fire formed brass will be interchangeable using the same reamer. Dave Manson reamer. Turned out really well. Hope the next rifle turns out really well too. Okay, the powder is where things get interesting. So Hornady has a free download, a PDF that you can download that has their 300 PRC load data. It's a new cartridge. They do that for their new cartridges. And they list a couple powders from Hodgdon on there. H1000 and Rotumbo are a couple of them. And I looked on the relative burn rate chart. I'm having a discussion with Ramshot. Hey, what do you have that's going to work for 300 PRC and 300 Remington Ultra Magnum? And Ramshot Magnum was one of the powders that they suggested. Well, it turns out Ramshot Magnum is right between H1000 and Rotumbo on the chart. So I'm not suggesting you do this. Do this at your own risk and your own peril. I took the H1000 max charge and the Rotumbo max charge, and I interpolated between the two. I decided to shoot a Satterley style 10-shot string, starting well below max and working up, incrementing the powder charge for each cartridge to look for velocity nodes. So I knew I had that opportunity to look for pressure signs and to make sure that I was going to be okay. And everything went really well. In fact, Ramshot Magnum is a good powder for 300 PRC. What I would have done differently, I decided to go 0.5 grain increments on my Satterley ladder here because I thought, it's 80 grains of powder. I'm looking at percentage increase each time. Well, the result was I don't feel like I quite got enough resolution in my data, and I knew I wanted to be up near max anyways. So if I had it to do over again, I would probably start where I wanted to end up at or a little bit above max, and then decrement by 0.2 grains for each of the cartridges in the test. Barrel heat is definitely an issue with any of this testing with a big Magnum caliber like this. So if you really want accurate data, you're going to want to have a strip or a non-contact thermometer or something like that. And again, these are things I'm looking at doing here shortly. If you have the same barrel temperature for each shot, then you're going to get a pretty accurate result if you have a good chronograph. I'm using the MagnetoSpeed V3 at the muzzle, and then I'm using the shot marker, which is an e-target system with integrated chronograph at 100 yards. It's nice to have both data points. And I always get velocities at 100 yards with shot marker. So, and you'll see that in the video in just a moment. So I decided, since I wasn't showing any pressure signs, to start up kind of near and around max for my OCW testing. And what I saw was there was actually quite a bit of variation if you take a look at some of the different charge weights. And so that's why load development is so important. Every rifle is going to shoot just a little bit differently. Every barrel with a different length and a different profile and different internal dimensions is going to shoot a little bit differently. So sometimes you're going to see something like a 1-inch group or even a 1 1/4 inch group. Then you're going to see a 0.7-inch group. And then ultimately, and I showed this group in the last video, this group is 0.62 inches, which is just under 0.6 MOA, and the SD was about 5 feet per second. I believe with the Hornady factory match ammunition, the SD was somewhere around 20 or so. Hornady does not have my rifle to tune their loads to. That's why we're doing the load development here. So the best group from my OCW testing is one that I'm going to show you now. So that group measured 0.540 inches, and this was 78.6 grains of Ramshot Magnum, and I had these cartridges loaded with the bullet 30,000 inches off the lance. I'm actually going to go closer to that. Quick note, I've got this OAL gauge, this custom modified case. I've got a video where I show you with my Precision Matthews PM1440 GT, my process for using a lathe to create these modified cases. That gives you a 2 lens distance for a particular bullet in a particular chamber. I started 30 thousandths off. I've got a little bit of adjustments to do to my die, which is kind of maxed out right now. But I'm going to start probably at lands and then go 10 and then go 20. And I've already got 30. And that's kind of the next step in the process. That and enhancing my rest and support situation. A bench rest style front rest and a more stable, really locks down rear rest. Combined with the 50 power scope, that gives you a really great capability to isolate the mechanical accuracy of the rifle and the accuracy of the ammunition that you're testing from all of the other factors, the shooter, the support, and so on and so forth. So that's something that I'm going to be doing next. And then I'm also going to be looking at different powders and different bullets. What about A-tip? What about 208 ELD-M? What about 212 ELD-X? There's a lot of good options in this 30 caliber high BC bullet product category. And so far, this rifle's been shooting great. When I shot steel, I showed this in the last video, center punched a 12 by 12 plate, first shot at 400 yards, and then I center punched an 8 by 8 target at 400 yards. That's when it gets real. So this rifle, I'm feeling good about the load development. I'm going to try a couple more things, hopefully have a couple really good loads. One for match, one for hunting, that are going to work really well in this rifle. Hopefully they'll work really well in the Remington 700 long range. This is 1 in 9.5 twist. That one's going to be 1 in 8.5 twist. So we're going to have the benchmark recommendation and the Hornady recommendation side by side to test different loads and different bullet weights with. Do you have something you want to see in this series? Please leave a comment. Do you have feedback about my load development? Please leave a comment. And don't forget, I got a lot more related 300 PRC, related 6.5 PRC stuff coming up. So make sure you're subscribed with notifications. Also, I've got a full article write-up, and that's going to be the first link in the video description. I've got shirts at the Ultimate Reloader store, and I'm on Patreon. Links in the video description. Until next time, happy shooting and happy reloading.